The debate on the government's controversial political reform proposal has finally begun, and a vote is expected to be taken either tomorrow or Friday.
Top government officials made the last-ditch attempts in Legco to persuade pan-Democrats to change their minds. The debate kicked off with Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Secretary Raymond Tan reading out the political reform package to the legislators. It was then Chief Secretary Carrie Lam's turn as she made her last-ditch attempt to persuade the pan-Democrats to support the proposal. Lam told lawmakers that the public opinion is clear, stressing that the majority of Hong Kong would like to see the right to vote being put in place in 2017. So that there will be development of political reform and not a stalemate. Lam also rejected accusations from pan-Democrats that the government had misled Beijing on the views of the Hong Kong public earlier in the reform process. Lam reiterated that the current government would be unable to restart consultation on election reform before its term ends in 2017 and will move on to the other priorities and focus on economic and social issues if the plan is vetoed. Justice Secretary Rim-Kee-Yuen also told lawmakers today that the government's political reform package has made use of all the leeway available under Beijing's framework for the 2017 chief executive election. Yuen stressed that under Article 45 of the mini-constitution, a nominating committee was the one and only entity empowered to put forward candidates for chief executive. Yuen added that allowing the public or political parties to nominate chief executive candidates violates Article 45 of the Basic Law because it would bypass the power of the nominating committee and therefore it shouldn't be taken as an argument to oppose. Yuen also dismissed suggestions by the pan-Democrats that the nominating committee would serve to vet candidates based on their political inclinations, and anyone who wants to run for the top job could do so if they get the support of the committee. Yuen also brushed aside concerns that the model for 2017 would stay for the long term and could not be changed in future, saying that the suggestions was neither correct in law nor practical to have an election system that could never change. The debate then proceeded with the 70 lawmakers given 15 minutes each to speak.
This motion, this resolution is a fraud on the public and contradiction of the very word reform. At no point does it offer a meaningful choice of candidates.
Democratic Party Chairwoman Emily Lau said she is saddened and angry to vote down the proposal, but she has no choice because she needs to defend Hong Kongers' basic rights and dignity. DAB Chairwoman Starry Lee called on pan-Democrats to support the proposal to create history together and said if the proposal is vetoed, the Occupy movement is to blame. Civic Party leader Alan Leung said he was taken aback by the remarks made by Justice Secretary Rim-Kee-Yuen with regard to the legal argument.
I would respectfully ask the Secretary for Justice to shut up. This is not a legal question. This is a question of whether or not there will still be a political will, incentive or reason to change. And once we have pocketed this thing, there will be no reason for the Central People's Government or the SAR government or the vested interest to change at all.
Real democracy!
Real democracy!
Yes, yes, yeah!
So far, all 27 pan-Democrats and one pro-establishment lawmaker have vowed to veto the proposal. It seems unlikely that the political reform proposal will be given the green light as pan-Democratic Party members are keeping to their pledge to veto the plan.
The government would need a two-thirds majority to have its reform bill passed. Vicky Wen reports.
The controversial political reform package was finally laid out in Legco today for debate and an eventual vote tomorrow or Friday. Several pan-Democrats carrying coloured ballot boxes with signatures from different professional groups entered the chamber just before the debate began. They reiterated their vow to veto the proposal. 28 lawmakers who have pledged to reject the proposal will make it impossible for the government to achieve the two-thirds majority it needs in Legco for the package to be passed. Civic Party lawmaker Ronnie Tong said today marks the day where both the government and lawmakers will come out losers. Tong was emotional with tears in his eyes as he spoke about a letter he received from a student who was hoping he could cast a yes vote. But Tong made his stance clear, saying he will veto the proposal.
Unless and until we reach a broad consensus as to how we look at the one country, two systems, I do not believe we are ready for any form of political reform as regards the election of the chief executive.
Civic Party leader Alan Leung also sounded out a similar message.
Hong Kong is divided. Hong Kong is far from being congenial. I certainly hope that after the government resolution has been voted down, the Central People's Government and the SAR government would come finally to its senses and try to forge more understanding between the two factions of a very divided society.
Labour Party lawmaker Lee Cheuk-yan also called on the government to restart the political reform process if it's vetoed.
Yeah, we made it naive and simple, but we have the spirit to fight.
Health Services sector lawmaker Joseph Lee claimed no one had approached him to change his mind anymore, so he will stick to his stance to veto the plan.
Well, up till now, except the CS and the Secretary for Food and Health met me a week ago on Monday and Tuesday separately, nobody gave me any call under all circumstances.
The debate is expected to end tomorrow or Friday and then put to the vote. Pan Democrats said they will not filibuster the proceedings as they want the vote to be taken quickly. Vicky Wan, ATV News.
Meanwhile, outside the Legco building, minor scuffles were reported between the pro-political reform camp and protesters calling for real democracy.
Lawmakers have also slammed the strict security measures being taken inside the Legco building and the heavy police presence. Arthur Okeola reports.
As lawmakers debated the government's political reform proposals inside the Legco complex, protesters from several groups gathered outside. There were pro-government supporters who were there because they wanted the political reform package passed. And opposition groups who slammed the proposal as fake democracy for requiring chief executive candidates to be screened before they can stand for election. A dozen protesters from groups representing different professions, like lawyers and accountants, wanted the Pan Democrats to stick to their promise to veto the proposal. They collected more than 7,000 letters from people backing their position. Groups from both sides have vowed to keep things peaceful. Earlier in the afternoon, however, there were tense confrontations between the opposing sides. In some instances, police had to step in to keep things in check, while in other cases, angry demonstrators had to be held back by marshals. Throughout the day, there was heavy police presence, with long lines of police vehicles seen parked on the roads surrounding the Legco complex. There were also strict security measures at the venue, with checks carried out on officials, lawmakers, and reporters who had to have their bags x-rayed when entering the building. An Amber Alert was raised at the Legco building at midnight last night for the first time. But lawmakers have criticized the decision to let police officers inside the building.
Of course, you do not expect very congenial environment outside the Legislative Council. But the number of police officers present actually took me by surprise. When I came in this morning, I was made to go through security check as if I were boarding a plane in airport.
I am part of Legco. If my integrity and dignity are under suspicious, it's an insult. They call the members of the Legco honorable. So how come an honorable person need to go through the security check? My wonder is that those policemen who come in here, who check them?
Security measures were stepped up after 10 people, including some claiming to be members of radical groups, were arrested on Monday in connection with an alleged bomb plot. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.